Peace, Shoshana. This is working with African American couples. First, I really just want to thank Danielle for such an informative, such a passion filled, um, and I would even say light filled offering, considering, the climate and the topic. Um, a lot of what she spoke about, of course, I'm familiar with being someone of African descent, but there was something that she said that really made me think deeper about what I see that's rampant in our communities. She said that labor production during slavery was the black woman's womb. And in the breeding capacity of black men, intimacy did not have to be a part. And you have a lot of women, women of color, not just women of African descent, but women of color who have children with multiple partners. It may not have been about intimacy. It may not have been about love. It may have been that they just had sex with someone that they wanted to, and they had a child and they kept it. But when I think about public assistance, you have women that are continuing to have babies, not so much because they're in love, or not even so much because they want to be a parent, but they know that they're going to get more money, um, depending on how many children they have, and um, and it's not true in all cases, but it is something that has gone on, and it has a lot to do with having broken spirit and thinking that that's the only way that you can um, command some sort of value, that you're telling yourself, well, the only way I'm going to be able to get this money is if I keep having babies. If I keep having babies, then they're going to give me more money. And that's kind of the same mentality almost. You see where the seed begins, that the woman's womb is a place, that's where labor production is, and labor production yields money. So it was just a very interesting parallel. It just made me think, and it made me think about there, just how many people have children and they're not in love with the person. I've heard so many stories where a woman or a man will say, well, I just slept with this guy. I actually have a friend of mine who, his son, he would tell me all the time that, it was just a casual encounter. They just had sex one time and she got pregnant. And, um, just the idea of exchanging your life force with another person and there's no connectedness speaks to everything that Danielle's presentation touched upon. So it was definitely nice to revisit it and for it to be presented in the way in which it was, because, like I said, although I'm of African descent, there were so many things that she pointed out that I just never looked at from that perspective. So before I get into like 20 minutes like I did on the video prior to this, and I erased it because I just couldn't do that to you, I'm just going to jump into the questions and then, see what comes up. So, what dynamics would you be curious about with this couple? So, partner A, I made Kiva. It's a woman. I'm cisgender. And partner B, Yasu, cisgendered male. So I thought about colorism, any challenges or the dynamics as far as colorism is concerned. Considering that Kiva is light skinned with curly hair, and Yasu is of a darker complexion, and had multiple interracial relationships, I just wondered how they fared, like amongst dark-skinned women who might look at him and then look at her and think that, he rejects dark-skinned women and, will only date light-skinned women, or, some of the Also, some of the dark-skinned women thinking that he has a complex and that because he hates his skin color, he doesn't want to be with anybody that reminds him of it, so he dates lighter-skinned women, or because if he wants children, he wants his children to be more creamy complected rather than dark like he is. So I thought about colorism immediately. Um, uh, his feelings about Kiva's expansion, her education, working on her PhD, um, you know, versus, I guess, socioeconomics, him working in retail, being an assistant manager, and her working on her PhD. And although he's supportive and proofreads her work for school, wondering is he like secretly resentful, considering his background, where he came from, his examples as far as his parents, two-parent household, both parents professionals, college educated, and he is seeming to self-medicate due to depression, due to lack of ambition, not getting his dreams out of his head and into his hand. And also, how does that work that, Kiva is a mother, PhD candidate, social worker, and she has a boyfriend who is a substance user and working a menial job, um, you know, and only reason I say menial is because he's a writer and he's actually good at it, but won't take the chance on himself or really lacks the confidence to do so. Just wondering how that would play out, and also self sabotage and her being a social worker, and how is she assisting in that, or is it a conflict? Like just thinking about all of that. How might you incorporate either the principles of Kwanzaa or into your conceptualization of your work with the couple? Um, when I saw the Nguzo Saba, or the seven principles, I started to look at them as a way to focus on the aspects of their relationship that could use some strengthening. Um, I was immediately attracted to Kujichagulia, which is self determination. Um, really curious about how Kiva and Yasu hold each other up, how they encourage each other, and how, yeah, also how they encourage the other to be determined in creating the experience that they want to have. Really, just looking at that. And then Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Um, how much, I was thinking about like how much how much is Yasu included into taking care of their life? What does his energy yield in reference to their home life, and how the child is being raised, considering that the child's father is not in the picture. Um, you know, just creating balance within the way that they take care of their lives. Um, and then Nia, purpose, automatically, you know, um, the question of the purpose of their togetherness. Like, why are they together? What did they come to teach the other? How did how are they adding to the other's experience? What is their purpose in their togetherness? Uh, and then Kumba creativity, really wanting to give them an opportunity to look at how are they creative with one another. And Danielle, I'm glad that she reminded that it could be cooking, it could be, engaging in, writing, honoring Yasu's inspirations as a writer, and maybe this being a segue for him to begin to make writing more of a ritual. which will lead into him completing a work, and which will lead to confidence. He might start going and doing open mics just to get his feet wet and just to share his work with the world. And I saw like a lot of opportunities for growth by using that into how my gender identity expression and or sexual identity expression I always mess up that word. Differentially? Yeah, not sure. Impact the couple's challenges. There wasn't a lot of information about their sexual identity or even their gender identity, but from what information I was given, I thought about Yasu again, growing up in upper middle class household, both parents working, being able to provide a comfortable life for them, and having a certain understanding, an example of stability, and then kind of looking at how he's showing up in his relationship with Kiva, and that he moved into her home. She makes more money than him. He's, not fulfilling what he deems to be his role as a man based off of his father. So that I thought about, and maybe in his mind somewhere, thinking that he's more of, oh, and also, no, I was going to say he's more of the woman in the relationship and she's more of the man based off of what he grew up with. And it was something else that I had on the tip of my tongue. And the other thing is also being secretly resentful of Kiva's expansion and her growth. Even though he corrects her papers, it's a part of him being really upset at the fact that he's not able to contribute in the way in which he thinks that he should be. Let's see. What ways might you engage the couple in expressive arts therapy interventions? So the first thing that I thought of, and it was because of Yasu, was preferred future. Giving him an opportunity to draft, to design, to create the life and the experience in which he wants to live in. And I think it would be interesting to see how each one places the other within their preferred future. What role do they play? What is their prominence within each other's story? Externalization for sure, specifically with Yasu, to really help him to put some things outside of his physical space, so that he can become to realize that it is not all that he is. He's not his situation, and he can choose differently. I think song analysis would be a really interesting way to engage them. It may be some words and just things that they want to express to one another, but can't find the words, and there may be a song that says everything that their heart wants to say. Creative writing, I thought about, because that's at Yasu's interest, and I think it's always important to introduce interventions that pique the interest of the couple, and especially because I feel like he might be the one that's feeling a little down and out, the one who's in need of a little bit more support. It would be nice to give him the spotlight in this way, considering that he really is passionate about writing. So that's pretty much my spiel without going too far over. I didn't want to go over 15 minutes. And I just want to thank Danielle again for such an informative and thought-provoking presentation. You definitely have to look at every cultural group in a different way. Yes, it is about matters of the heart. Yes, it is about emotional responsibility, making sure we're creating safe containers. But there's certain things from a intergenerational perspective that we also have to look at. the legacy of pain and trauma that has been passed down, and how much of that is rooted in our languages of love, how we parent, how we exist and live and sustain home life. All of those things are taught. So I, yeah, it was very good to see, especially um, now before we're getting ready to sit with our different clients. I'm really happy that this is being covered, because, like I said, just because I'm of African descent doesn't mean I am well versed in any of this. I know what I know what has worked for me and what I know within my experience the best, but I can't speak in a broader sense, and this was definitely helpful in that. So I'm gonna go. I hope that I'm not rambling too much. I'm pretty sure I rambled a little bit, and I will speak to you soon. All right, bye bye.